Warm and cold colour contrast. If you remember from the first tutorial, contrast of warm and cold lights can give volume within the frame. How do we get this contrast? This is done by using two different temperatures of lights. These are warm and cold lights. Sources of this lighting can be natural or artificial. Natural is the light of the sky, sun, moon, fire, etc. Whereas artificial light can be practical lights such as lamps or lighting from devices like all the video lights and things that we know. It's important to mention that with the help of video lighting, you can actually imitate practical or natural light. Sounds very simple? Let's get into a little more detail. All lighting sources have lamps with different colour temperatures. Colour temperature of lighting is measured by a Kelvin value. The higher the Kelvin value, the cooler the temperature of the light, and vice versa. In nature, the approximate temperature values of light sources that you can see are in this table. When looking into the temperature of lamps and lighting devices, it's important to know that many LED sources have the advantage of being able to adjust the temperature of light. This is known as bicolor lighting. However, lights like halogen lamps only have warm color temperatures of about 3200 Kelvin. Having said that, if you use a dimmer with a halogen lamp, which changes the power of the light, you can in fact get warmer temperature of about 2700 Kelvin. HMI lighting fixtures have a colour temperature of about 5600 Kelvins, or what is known as daylight. Fluorescent lights can be a mixture, as certain lights have different lamps, which can be both warm and cold. Let's try to consider all of this into practice. In this scene, I use three light sources. The first is a Godox VL300 with a softbox. This will be a cold light source in the background. The second and the third sources are ACE 650 Fresnels, which will be the warm lights. You may have noticed that I don't make my cold lights blue. It's simply white. This is because I can lose skin tone accuracy if I have a very saturated blue light in the scene. I also feel that sometimes strongly saturated blue lighting can sometimes look a little unnatural. The important thing to know is that I can change the white point with just one click in the post-production process. I can change this on any blue tone in DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere as I please. Why does the light scheme look like this and not otherwise? Because this is how I see the scene. I could have lit it in a completely different way, but the main principle that I worked towards within this scene was the need to create the light and shadow contrast, as well as the contrast of warm and cold colour temperatures. For work with warm and cold contrast, I often use two fixed temperatures. These are 3200 Kelvin and 5600 Kelvin, or sometimes 6000 Kelvin. Many popular light sources have this temperature value. Also, do not forget to set the correct white balance on your camera when you work with two different temperatures of light sources. Let's work in another light scheme with warm and cold contrast on this night interior scene. In the middle shot, we will use two different light sources. This will be an ARRI 650 watt with a colour temperature of 3200 Kelvins, and a Little Kaiser LED with a colour temperature of 5600 Kelvin. Also, I will utilise practical lights in order for us to somewhat disguise the ARRI light sources. An important point to note is that for all the practical lamps, I'm wrapping the shades with soft paper. Specifically, I'm using tracing paper, which is usually used for clothing patterns. This trick helps me lower the overall exposure of the lamps to keep it somewhat in line with my broader exposure. Firstly, I'm using a warm light for the main character. This light source stands off to the left-hand side as a backlight. It is quite a harsh light source to use without any softening or diffusion material, so I'm using a soft diffusion cloth near this light. It's very important to note that you should not hang any cloth on the halogen light itself, as it is not safe to do so, these units can get very hot while operating. You should always keep any textile at a safe distance from the lights. Only certain filters, sometimes a gel filter, can be inserted on the surface of hot light sources. The second light, the LED Kaiser, is hidden behind the character. I put it there to intensify the cold light from the window. This can sometimes look a little fake, but in this instance, the light source is very small and not so powerful. All I wanted from this light was to make an unobtrusive, cold glare from the floor. In terms of natural light sources, I utilise the sky before sunset or after sunrise for cold light sources within the frame, and fire or sun as warm lighting sources. Now, let's see how some of my students implemented this technique.